Hello, Jimjamatic here. Welcome to a brand new episode of Robot Wars episode reviews. It is Heat C, the all dreaded heat of Series 4. For some reason, Heat C has been a problem with both the last series and this series, and it's not going to get any better. In fact, I think it's actually getting worse than the Heat C of Series 3. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the worst thing that Heat C had was mostly mediocrity and shit battles. Here we just got a whole other level of crap. And joining me, reluctantly, is Anson9132.
Can I just say that I'm being forced to be here right now? I don't choose to do this, but oh my god. Oh my god.
I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
it's my favourite robot as well. And it's
It's my
oh my god, this is AIDS. I mean, oh my day. This is horrendous.
it's
It's
my
not horrendous, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. It's a whore that's horrendous.
I mean, think about it. It's my favorite robot as well, so it is kind of bad. But
Yeah, I
actually,
mean, this is one of those. This is one of those episodes where somebody says, "Why is your favorite robot Firestorm?" You give them this whole list, and they say, "Oh, what do I Heat C Series 4?" And you're like, "Well, I'm fucked." There you go. I mean, this is literally one of them moments.
yeah, it's something you all forget about. Let's face it. Actually,
Mhm.
before we start the heat, I just want to mention I put on just a little slight bit of positivity before I start the actual review. Little shout out. So I put my update video up recently as well, but I'm going to be I've started my new channel. Just Jim. It's on the first episode's up. Link. I'll put a link in the description of this video as well. But there's one in the update video as well, just in case you didn't get the message the first time. Um,
Such blatant plugging.
Hey,
It's unreal.
it's my own channel. I don't give a shit. If it was someone else, it would look shady. If it's my channel, who cares? It's mine. I have the right to own my own channel. But yeah, well, that's the only positivity we're probably gonna get this entire heat. So yeah, let's get this over
Yeah.
and done with then. So we're starting off, of course, with the fifth seeds, Firestorm 2, and my God, this is a bad heat for Firestorm.
It is very bad. Although I will say this: I don't get why it's seeded fifth.
It
I
should be
mean,
seeded.
came third.
Yeah, she seed third should be really what it is, but it's not.
I mean, now I'm going to say because there's a debate about this. I mean, the actual because the thing is right. When it comes to the seedings, they were never meant to be what place a robot came. They were meant to be how well they thought they would do in this series. So, for example, that meant that Firestorm was the fifth favorite robot to win overall, which is fair enough. But I don't understand why Razor, a two-time failure, was two places higher than it. I don't understand why the robot that it beat the previous series is also considered better, more likely to win than this one. I just don't understand how that works.
Also, may I note the robot that has never beaten it, ever.
Yes.
So, like even like in the future series, Panic Attack never beats Firestorm. So it's like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but it's just. I mean, also the inverted paint job is a bit ugly looking. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm just too used to the red at the back, and yellow at the front. It looks a bit, and also and the squares as well. It's just
Yeah, it's too squarey. I don't know what that's all about. It's all. I mean, Graham, Alex, Lads, baby, come on.
what are you
You're doing it
doing?
wrong, Lloyd.
What are you doing, mate? Come on.
I
But
mean, I mean, this is just saying it all right now. We have yet to say something good about Firestorm, our favorite robot. Imagine what the rest of this lot's going to be. Jesus, backwards.
we've given it enough praise in Series 3, I reckon. But I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, this is the only heat of Firestorm ever where I'm just like, oh god, Firestorm. I mean,
and
it just doesn't. I mean, the only battle it does well in is the first battle. That's the only non kind of battle because it's kind of legitimate the first battle.
yeah.
Everything else,
It,
downhill from the second three-way melee onwards, really.
there's only one battle in this entirety of Series 4, including the Tag Team Terror, where I actually felt that this was true Firestorm, and that was his battle against Dominator 2.
And of
I mean, even in
course,
its first round battle here, it was a bit meh, wasn't it?
yeah, but of course, the one battle it does really well in. Yeah,
Yes.
of course, we'll get to. And I think, are you a part of that semi-final? I think you are. I think you're. You better.
Probably am. Yeah, I think I am.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Guessing.
You are, of course, semi-final one. So, but yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about Firestorm in the past. I'm not going to go rambling about things I love. I mean, again, I love how well controlled it is by both Graham Bone and Alex Mordew, which again people forget about. It's just a really good front hinge flipper robot, and honestly, the best of its kind. Obviously, since because Gas is considered the standard, and then Firestorm beat that pretty quickly. And
Oh
then
yes.
and now it's all left to push to exit for the future, perhaps. I don't know. I mean,
We're in trouble.
judging by Series 9, I don't know. But you never know. If they appear in Series 10, and I don't know, I've not heard anything, but if they are in Series 10, please do better this time, Swanee. I want to see you. But yeah, that's really all. I mean, there's nothing else really about Firestorm we haven't rambled on about in the past two or three appearances it was in last series, so
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave it brief then, and also we've got a lot of things in actual heat to talk about more than anything. And then of course we have the, again, I failed to call them runner up, but they technically are, the morgue. Um, Now I don't hate. I mean, there's nothing really abstractly wrong about the morgue, really. It's more just a case of how it got to the heat final as opposed to really the robot itself. Because the robot itself's just okay. It functions. It didn't break down. It doesn't. As a relative, it's relatively okay. I mean, it's like it's more about how the hell this. I mean, let's face it. This robot never got through if it hadn't been for a certain robot deciding to break down randomly. Because they got pre-owned in the first round, quite thoroughly.
Yes.
It was quite a beating, and then obviously later on they get a seeding in Series 5 because of this series, which makes me laugh. But
There are some points I like about the morgue. I mean, it's weird. I like the. It sounds stupid, but I like the paint job. I think the Grim Reapers look really cool, and I think it's actually quite nice to see the first ever actual rollover design that was intended to be a rollover design actually work. Because I'm pretty certain the Dilophosaurus Rex's was a fluke. So
yeah, that was definitely
that was a fluke. But this was a legitimate rollover design which was intended to do that, and it actually worked. So fair play to them. The weapon was rubbish. And like you said, I mean, they were very lucky to get through. But I liked seeing the morgue return, partly because it was just nice to have that that comedy robot keep coming back. It never really did well, but at least they came back every year. And two, the team were awesome.
Oh, the team were great. I mean, obviously we love, obviously R.I.P. Dorian Cordia again, but
yeah, so gutted when I found out he died. Oh man.
Yeah, about a year ago, and it's such a shame.
It's been a year. Yeah, it was last June.
Last June, wow. Oh man.
So it's been a year since he died.
Oh, I mean, it's weird because it's one of those teams that's not as memorable as well, at least not considered as memorable as something like Sir Cromwell. But honestly, I love this team just as much. They're just like they're the spirit of Welshmen. To be honest, these. I mean, also we have Panic Attack and we have Apollo, both from Wales. And while they are Welsh, they don't come off as like really Welsh. These guys are just embodying Welsh. I love them.
There's actually a point in this where Dorian Corey actually turns around and says to the Scar Boys, "There's great sheep safaris in Swansea." That was hilarious.
I love it when they have the sheep. They bring the sheep in.
Oh, the ninja sheep with a picture of Anne Robinson on the front. Well,
it shows you that this is that team's humor. It is great. This team is absolutely amazing.
It says something about the robot itself when we speak more about the team than the actual robot.
Man, in fairness, the robot was kind of very similar throughout the series. Just had a different front, and it got a saw later on at the back, and it basically had a lifter all the time at the front though. But it didn't really change too much. It just kind of became smaller, then a lot more compact. But also, they appeared as Torty in the in Techno games, which came bronze, I think, wasn't it? Was it bronze?
They got bronze in the sumo, and they made it to the quarterfinals with the mini morgue. Which was called Slowman in the football.
And also, they actually came joint silver in the penalty kick, didn't they? I believe.
Yes.
Cybernetic, I think the robot was. It was like basically a giant human. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
with a Welsh rugby shirt on.
Yeah, it was actually really. I mean, they came tied with the Big Brother team, so
yeah,
that's not bad.
With the name we must not mention.
No, we'll mention that. I'll mention that at some point, probably in the Bigger Brother episode. But yeah, that's an unfortunate name. But
yes.
Overall, I do like the morgue. I mean, I don't love the actual robot. Again, the team really, a bit like Sir Cromwell, honestly, the team outshines the robot in every single manner almost. While Dietor, I do feel is still a decent robot on its own, not the best. I feel like Sir Cromwell and the morgue definitely rely on the team more than the people.
Yeah.
And then the people who built it rather than the robot itself. And then we'll carry on with the only robot to ever come out of Cumbria for some reason, Bolt from the Blue. Bit of a
you say for some reason, but to be honest, I think it's quite self-explanatory. This is what they mustered up. I hate to see what else they could bloody bring. Jesus.
I mean, obviously they're from the same constituency as Tim Farron. I don't know if that says anything or not, but that's where they're from. It's from Kendal. I mean, that's political. Hi-oh, I've nothing to say about it, but. But Bolt from the Blue is kind of boring if you really come down to it.
It's very slow. It's got a lifter that barely lifts. And the thing with Bolt from the Blue as well is it's this is actually true. Its lifter can only lift 5 or 6 times per battle.
Wow.
I mean that's Cobra level there, guys. Oh my! Actually, I mean, actually, no. Cobra had more. Cobra had like 7 or 8 stabs at least. So Jesus.
Do you know the weird thing about Bolt from the Blue is in its qualifier. Look on the wiki, its qualifier. It's actually more brightly painted than it is in the actual show.
Yes,
In the show, it's got more yellow
did.
on it. Well, here they just made it kind of silver and black, which is not as interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. Yeah, because they called it Bolt from the Blue. Yeah, it was black. I don't understand.
It's just kind of meh. The lift is very tiny.
I mean, I respect it because they actually made it what is essentially an impenetrable robot, as we'll get to later in its battle against Firestorm. It's very hard to get a hold of, but at the same time, if it hasn't got the offense to go with it, then it's just going to be that thing that just sits still and gets hit all the time, but nobody can do anything. I mean, imagine if Storm 2, for example, another robot that was very hard to get a hold of, just sat in the middle of the arena and let everybody shove it around or try to push it around but failed.
Didn't do anything, yeah.
It wouldn't have been anywhere near exciting. But because it was able to charge at robots, slam them into the side walls and all that, it made it much more exciting to watch. This was literally just watching a lump move around the arena slowly.
Imagine being there and watching the full 5 minutes of this battle. That must have been agonising.
I actually have nightmares over watching the original, mate. And Jesus, it's just a normal, the edited cut. I mean, God.
Jesus, man. But yeah, Bolt from the Blue is just painfully average, and actually lower than average, probably, I'd say, in many aspects. But it's just, I mean, there's a reason why I don't really remember this robot very often. It's like Humphrey or Mazakari in the next heat. I just don't really. It's just there. You know what I mean? Out of all the first round losers, and then, of course, we actually get.
Thanks. It's one of them. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, never appeared again, never qualified again, never tried, never attempted again. Actually, even so. Although the team looked very disheartened against it in their last battle, so.
They were, yeah. That's why they didn't come back basically in protest over the fact that they felt they deserved to win that decision. I mean, that's pretty childish, guys. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, if you really felt that strongly, you could have put an appeal in. If you really, there's nothing wrong with thinking you might have won, but if you really think you won that much, like, I mean, look at Daisy Chopper. They didn't win, and they still decided to go for it.
Yeah.
So
and when they were proved wrong, they shook hands, they dealt with it, and they came back the next year. Okay, they failed to qualify, but they tried to enter the next year.
They took it on the chin. Yeah, maybe it would have been a bit better if you'd seen like because that way you would have seen the judging criteria and how it worked. But we'll get to that battle. But yeah. And then next, of course, we have the one time a robot actually really improves from the one robot wars to the next, and they don't do really well at all, unfortunately, is Ming 2. I mean, the original Ming wasn't much of a step up, was it? Let's face it. Anything would have been a step up from the original Ming.
Oh yeah, definitely. But Ming 2, I mean, it is one of those. It's like seeing Overdoser go into Worm. It is such a vast difference, and it's so unlucky that they lost the way they did. They had such a chance to win, and it all flew away.
Yeah, they lost twice, obviously, because they lost in the War Independence against Frenzy, which is not as actually won in one hit. I think, wasn't it? I think it was like one hit they took them out.
Yeah, won it. I mean, they won the first battle fairly convincingly, but yeah, literally one hit and it hit them right on their kill switch.
Yeah, and then randomly they just broke down against Morg, which was I just don't know how it happened, but
that's just gutting, though, isn't it?
That is gutting. Yeah, you built a much more competent robot, and actually they could have had a good go against Firestorm as well, but of course. Unlucky stuff happened. I mean, the original Ming was just a weird thing with a saw on it that fell off in 2 seconds and could have damaged someone. But here it's like a proper panel flipper and it's low to the ground. It's kind of like a little stealth bomber thing. It's really cool. And again, when the robot looks really good in Series 4, chances are they're not going to go through. It tends to be the rule in Series 4 for some reason. Like in Series 3, like you can tell which robots are probably not going to do well. In Series 4, I seem to be disappointed almost every heat with some robot. Or something. There's always some robot that's really good, and like, I mean, next heat, obviously, I'll tell you there's a certain robot next heat that I was slightly disappointed in, but yeah, there's not really much.
Iron ore, isn't it?
Yeah, clearly, it's iron ore, but yeah, Ming 2, it's good. It's a really good robot, good improvement, and then of course I managed to trigger you last time by talking about the razor thing. I don't, still can't get over that.
You're an actual bell.
I know. I mean, they used the Razor S design, and honestly, they didn't do too badly until Matilda decided to just kill him for some reason. I don't know why. That was weird. That was a weird move. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. And then of course we have a robot. I think personally could never catch a break in this ever. Is the 21st seed Dietor. This is like
very lowly seeded, I would say.
I would say they were as well. I would have given them like seed 19, 18, so I'm not in the 20s.
Yeah, because I think, when you think they were a heat finalists, long-time veterans of the series, and also they came technical joint third in the World Championships. I think that was worthy of, maybe even because not all the semi-finalists came out. So I'd say maybe even a push, a top 16. Like fuck Kilohertz, give this the 16th seed or something,
Although in fairness, though, the lower seed did make the blow a little bit less bad when it was.
I suppose,
it was knocked out. But at the same
I
time, though, this was. I mean, their sumo run was terrible. This run was. They were the pinball one as well, I think.
Yeah, the pinball wasn't too bad.
Okay, that was their only saving grace, was their pinball run. But this one, I mean, they had no weapon, they had no top armor, because they were overweight, and they had to kind of get it working again. After all that, it lasts 2 seconds in metal. It's got to be one of the most disheartening things. I mean, at least in Series 3, they got some payoff from it, and actually did alright in the International League, did alright in the World Championship, and got to the Heat Finals. They actually had some good run in Series 3. Probably their best run ever, in terms of overall performance. But here it was just... Oh, what can you say about their run? It was just pants. Nothing happened in it.
They literally just drove underneath them, threw them over, done. They just couldn't come back, and it's a shame. It really is. I mean, they actually looked heartbroken.
I mean, imagine after all that work and all the fact they did well, all the success they had last series, and just gone in 2 seconds. Plus, I think they secretly wanted a rematch against Firestorm. I mean, putting the same heat as them again, that's got to be... It's funny, because I remember in the... when I was watching it when I was younger, and after Heat B finished, the preview was like, rematch against Firestorm, and it's like, it didn't happen. So it's like, well, I know they're in the same heat, but thanks for building it up, mate. I hate when they do that. It's like, they don't stop it. In Series 9, they twice said, oh, it's going to be the Carbide Apollo battle. Don't tell us in the first heat it's coming up, and then to wait until the 5th heat to actually happen. That was dumb. I'm not gonna lie, but
it was very dumb.
I mean, I got me excited. I was like, oh, they bumped it up really early. I was like, oh no, it's not. It's Behemoth's heat. Yay, yay! That was a way to disappoint me, wasn't it? The worst heat of series, the worst heat of Series 9 to build up after that.
Yes.
Jesus. And also, we'll get to those. And last but not least, a robot that I swear was named after to rhyme with the place it was from. No other reason, was Scar from Lemington.
From Lemington? Yeah. Oh, mate. I mean, obviously I'm from near Lemington Spa.
Yeah.
So shout out to my Midland brothers. Warwick lad. Here we go. Yeah, my Midlander brothers. It's a thing. Sam's technically a Midlander. Like, he's from the West Country, so he's, into farm animals and all that, but he's still technically a Midlander.
Yeah.
Love you, Sam.
But Scar...
He was meant to be here, by the way. He was meant to be here, but he's too busy doing something else, bless him. So I'm not too sure what it is.
I mean, we said last time... We were saying about last time at Scar, the idea of the saw's kind of interesting. With the 2 different directions it goes in, I think, wasn't it? Or different types of cutting blade on it. But the robot itself just didn't really do it. I mean, it didn't really have any real offensive power. Like, it's really weird to put a saw at a point. There's something really weird about that design, and also the fact it kept getting flipped over constantly. I mean, to its credit, it worked. It's self-writing design worked both ways, but it's just there. Scar. To be honest,
another issue as well was that it didn't have the speed to back it up. I mean, again, a good a saw, it needs to have good aim on it and good speed to give it a force. You need a force behind it. So otherwise, it's just going to basically be gently pushed against arm. It's just going to tickle it. And unfortunately, that just didn't happen.
Yeah, and obviously Dave Laurie now owns it.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of teams have owned this thing. Craig Danby, Jamie from PP3 / Coyote, I believe, is he also from Coyote? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now Dave Laurie owns it. So it's like three of the major roboteers from the most recent couple of series have actually owned this robot at some point, which is quite cool. Yeah. But it still hasn't really seen the light of day properly. I don't think it's unlike Erica. It's not really done anything. Yeah. It's more of a symbol more than anything.
It's been literally chucked around like a French prostitute. I mean, the poor thing. Bless it. I hope to see it be merged again. By the way, I forgot to mention this. I've literally just remembered this. We're going quickly back to Bolt from the Blue. For some reason, someone up there in bloody headquarters at bloody BBC thought, you know what? We're bringing out this Robot Wars board game. We need some counters here. What we got? Well, we've got great robots. We've got Firestorm. We've got Deer Tour. We've got Dominator 2. No, that's a Bolt from the Blue as one of the counters on that thing.
Is it?
It is, yeah. Along with
Oh,
here we go. The actual counters are Razor, obviously. Panic Attack and Chaos 2. Those are all fair enough. Suicidal tendencies at push. Yep, that's reasonable. Then we've got Destructible. What? And Bolt from the Blue.
no, Destructible's funnier to me. I just don't get what the point of that was. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, Destructible and of course Bolt from the Blue. I mean, of all robots, why Bolt? I mean, at least Destructible was reasonably memorable. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to forget Destructible because of the way it looked, but Bolt from the Blue was.
If they were going for memorable robots, they just should have gone for Fat Boy Tin. Honestly,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you're going to pick some first round, you pick a first round loser, just go outright and just pick a really awesome looking one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy that they put suicidal tendencies in there because that I felt was a very missed out robot. It never really got many credits, or they got a mini bot made, and that was about it.
But also, Scar, actually, back to Scar. Obviously, the first. Also, a fun fact. Technically, they're undefeated along with Ultor in the main UK competition. The only one of two robots, because technically, while they didn't actually win, they didn't lose either. So they actually technically qualified. So, or survived, or whatever you want to call it. But the point is, they didn't lose, so therefore they're technically undefeated along with Ultor, which is weird.
Yeah, in the UK, I think it's aside competitions. I think it's joint shared by the Typhoon middleweight, which has won 4 battles, and Anvil from the Armed Forces Special.
Oh yeah, of course, yes. Always forget about those two. But yeah, in terms of main competition, Ultor and Scar hold that honour for some reason. But yeah, it showed. Just looking at the robots, honestly, it's like you can tell by some of the previews we've been talking about. It doesn't sound like we're in the best heat in the world. You think, okay, maybe it can't be that bad. All right, okay, fair enough. All right, we'll show you. But at first, honestly, the first battle doesn't really reflect how horrible this heat's going to be. In retrospect, is because the first one obviously it's the 5th seed Firestorm 2 against Scar against the Morgue. I don't know why, for some reason, Firestorm decided to go straight after Scar, which is like the most obvious robot you go after, clearly. Because the one that's invertible. Yeah. Flip them over multiple times, so what happens? Oh wait, they go back, they just work the same way. Oh. And then
this battle was literally Firestorm rolling over Scar 4 or 5 times, then he got bored, rolled the Morgue over against the sidewall, and that was it. There's your match.
Pretty much. And actually, here's the thing, right? And also, I actually did like the slam that Firestorm 2 gave to Morgue.
Oh, it was a good slam.
It was even when they showed it in slow motion, it looked like it was going really fast. It just slammed into the arena wall, and they just couldn't. Obviously, the roly-poly design was so great, but it doesn't work when you're next to the arena wall, unfortunately. And it just kind of like sadly rolling on the side as they're just stuck, and then Scar's just kind of derping about doing. It did nothing. Scar this entire. It just kind of drove. It just drove around. And I still don't know how they managed to burn out motors with this robot. It didn't do anything intensive. They just drove around the arena, got flipped over a couple of times, and then watched the Morgue die.
Credit to the Morgue though, they actually pushed Firestorm at the end when they were righted by Killalot.
I love it. Like it's a bit like with Gravedigger, I just kind of carry on going even after you're out. But it was fruitless, and unlike Gravedigger, they didn't get another. They actually got another chance.
Yeah.
But
actually, and again, just going back to what we were saying earlier, how the team's more interested in the robot. I actually think that the actual post-battle interview with the Morgue team was actually more entertaining than the battle itself.
Yeah.
Just because they actually admitted that they went to a pub the night before and had lots of cocktails and karaoke. Obama basically competing with a hangover. I think that's absolutely hilarious.
Also, a really, really, really terrible Jonathan Pierce pun was he says a grave position for the Morgue.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Of course. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do that for the show. The JP pun count.
Oh, I think we'd go into the hundreds if that was the case in this show.
Oh, easily. Well, I know one where the counter would literally be broken, and that's Heat E of Series 7 U2.
Oh God,
the amount of jokes he made. I mean, oh God.
Actually, or any robot based off an animal, he's gonna find a pun in it somewhere.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it's like RoboCow. Dairy me. Shut up, Jonathan.
Yeah, Jesus. But anyway, Firestorm 2 and Scar make it through. The Morgue, for now, is eliminated. Ooh,
yep.
A bit of mystery there. Ooh.
Yeah,
unless you've already seen this, in that case, who cares? I mean, come on, this show originally aired in October 2000. If you haven't seen this by now, I don't know where you've been. Especially if you're not watching the show.
They've been very smart, actually.
Indeed, yeah. It. Somehow. And then, of course, we had the second battle, which was Deator, the 21st Seeds, versus Bolt from the Blue versus Ming 2, and it just ended in one flip right at the beginning of the battle. Let's face it. Bolt
Oh no
and
no
the...
no no! You're making a mistake. Bolt from the Blue and Ming 2 did bump into each other once.
Oh, sorry, I missed that bit.
Yeah.
Actually, what I quite like is in the only screen capture of that entire fight, you have Ming 2 actively flipping over no, I was a tornado then. Dietor. I don't know why is it. I just saw the red. I was like, yeah, flipping over Dietor, and then you just see Bolt from Blue hiding in the background. That's a good summation of this battle. Honestly, that one picture.
Yes.
Ming 2 doing something, Dietor failing, and Bolt from Blue doing its own thing somewhere in the other arena. I'm bumping into them once. I'm sorry. But there was that really pathetic moment where you see Dietor on its back on the flame pit spinning around.
Yes, because his wheel was sticking out the top of the robot, so it was capable of spinning around.
It's just like,
Caught fire. Oh, that's nothing else. No, Bolt from the Blue did manage to push it a good 2 or 3 inches as well towards the flame pit.
Oh, that was a picking on a robot that's already down. That's a lot of aggression points there. Oh.
Was this battle actually worth it? Seriously,
I don't.
In all honesty, I would have rather have seen Dietor. I know it sounds harsh, because I love Dietor, but I would have rather have seen them pull out if they had this many problems. I would have rather they like gave another reserve seeding to someone. You know, maybe Invertebrate would have gotten seeded then, and maybe they deserved it.
Well, they definitely deserved it just as much as Dietor did. So.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Although they would just got caught on their spikes. Knowing their look.
I don't know if it would have happened here, because obviously Creature's such a big robot. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We'll get to that. But
we'll get to that one, yeah. And well, it was a pretty quick battle. Nothing really happened to it, and then Dietor gets eliminated. And then obviously we'll go to the side events. We'll start. I'm mixing. I like mixing up randomly. We'll go because let's face it, all of these side events were shit.
Yes.
We'll go for the pinball with Spikosaurus because why not? This 40 points. This was a shambles of a run. I mean, honestly, it kind of summed up most of its main competition, run. It was just pants the entire run. I mean, it came joint last with Attila the Drum, a robot that didn't control it. Couldn't even. Both the robots coincidentally couldn't control themselves, which is obvious. But
well, Spikosaurus here as well is that it would like hit something, and I swear to God, the team would think they actually hit it or got points or something because they just didn't bother with it again. Like, they hit the multi-ball release, but it didn't actually open, but they left it. Oh, well.
It was almost like it was like actual pinball, just bouncing around all these obstacles and actually hitting anything. And
unfortunately, as they always say, control is almost everything.
It's true, but, I mean, I hate to... it's one of those things, like, you see Spikosaurus, you see it in this pinball run, you think, oh god, this can be a good robot. You see it in the main competition, it barely does anything along with Sting, and you're like, okay, this is not going to do well. Northern Annihilator champion, folks.
Yeah, but in all fairness, it earned that.
it earned it, but it's just a robot you would not expect
it's
to do
so
well
random. It is random.
It is random.
It's funny.
But it's cool anyway. But either way, nothing really. It just kind of pants all the way through. Really, just kept thinking to hit things. They didn't hit them. It's got 40 points with Tiller the Drum. Who cares? And then we'll go to the second round, and we're gonna start with the most exciting battle of the entire heat: Firestorm 2 versus Bolt from the Blue.
Please tell me that was sarcasm.
Yes, don't worry.
Thanks for that.
I mean, honestly, that first round battle with the first round is actually the highlight of this heat. Let's face it, because everything goes downhill from the rest. As soon as the pinball starts, that's when you can start getting the drinks out and just not blinding yourself of the whole situation.
It's actually like you're doing now.
Yeah.
It's actually you could play a good drinking game. Actually, every bad thing that happens, just take a swig. I mean, you would be dead by the third battle. I'm not even joking.
I do have a bottle of rum on standby, so I always do. But here, this battle was mostly just Bolt from the Blue spinning around in a circle, trying to flip Firestorm over, and Firestorm trying to get a hold of it, but no point actually managing to really get a good flip on it.
There was one moment where Bolt from the Blue lifted Firestorm up.
That was decent, I guess, but...
yeah, well done, I guess. But then the rest of it, I mean, like you said, it was Bolt from the Blue was just basically sat in the centre of the arena turning around, keeping his flipper on Firestorm, and Firestorm was just driving into them to try and push them and get underneath them, but couldn't, so kept driving up them.
I mean, Firestorm was playing the offensive game, Bolt from the Blue was playing the defensive game, and unfortunately, defensive is not being aggressive. So, I mean, honestly, I agree with the decision personally. I will admit it's such a boring battle. I don't care about it to a certain extent, but
it's a very. I mean, I'll agree. I can see where the controversy comes from.
It's not as bad as the Heat final.
I will admit.
It's not as bad. No.
And I will admit that if it did not make Firestorm look like a strong robot at all.
No,
I mean, this is borderline. I agree with the decision, but only just. I
Yeah.
mean, this was
I mean, looking
pathetic.
looking at the breakdown, I always ignore style because let's face it, I don't give a shit about style. There's no damage, so that's Cav eliminated as well. Aggression goes from Firestorm because they're actually actively trying to attack Bolts and Blue as opposed to sitting in the circle and just waiting for them to attack them.
Yeah.
And then Control, I guess more on Firestorm.
I'd say Bolt from the Blue because Firestorm was technically not in control of its aggression.
Actually, in fact, because Bolt and the Blue was able to control it, so Firestorm couldn't get a single flip on them or any Cav purchase on them. So I guess it was sort of well controlled to a degree. But I guess at the end of the day, aggression. Aggression
carried more weight back then.
Yeah,
and it still does to this day, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, so it would have been basically 2 points to 1, wouldn't it? So yeah, double the aggression points, it would have won. So, but it was very close. But at the end of the day, though, I do think the better robot and also the more exciting robot won as well. So.
Yeah. Oh, so right, James Proctor from the Bolt from the Blue team was very, very sore about this victory. He actually wrote it, I think, on a blog or something.
Yeah.
And this is actually his actual words here. We were robbed, if I do say so myself. Our weapon didn't break; it ran out of air. That's the same thing. I'm sorry, that's stupid. We could only use it 5 or 6 times. See, there you go. Plus, we were 15, 16 years old, and they were university engineering graduates. So basically, what they're saying is it was unfair that they won because they were younger.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
like they're basically using age as an excuse here. That's just stupid.
It was like what the media were trying to portray with Ant Pritchard in Series 9. That's exactly what they're trying to keep saying to him. I've said before, they thought it was because it was children, not because of the other obvious reasons of the battle, but no, because of the children. Children. You don't want to hurt the children. Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
the Bolt from the Blue team are basically claiming that they weren't allowed to go, that they were robbed because they were younger than Firestorm.
I mean,
that's petty. That is. I'm sorry.
I mean, you don't see the team. You don't see the bigger brother team complaining all the time because they got kids in the team because they get lost all the time. They weren't going to Bulldog Breed going, oh, we wanted to win. Who cares? Like, I mean, I'll be honest. Joe Watts took it usually quite well, so that's why I don't really mind Joe Watts that much. But
he had a little bit of a tiz, but then he sort of manned up, didn't he?
Yeah, he had the normal amount of disappointment for a young kid. Anyways, it's kind of normal.
Yeah.
Although I think the best kids definitely go to the guys from Frostbite for just wanting their robot to get destroyed. So.
Oh yeah. Although there was the kid from Subversion in Series 7.
He was great.
He said he wanted the Action Man to get axed and the plastic armor to melt.
Pretty much.
I mean, you can't get argue with that logic, mate. There you go, mate.
It's true, but either way, and then this battle was very boring. It's 5 minutes. Imagine watching the unedited version of this fight. It'd be terrible. I mean, we saw about a minute and a bit, a couple of minutes. They saw 5 minutes. So,
yeah.
I mean, the editor must have had a lot of a hard time going, what can we keep in? Not what can we take out?
Yeah. I mean, this was the highlight of this battle, guys. I'm not even joking.
Yeah. I think Firestorm 2 deserved that win. And then I should be saying that Scar versus Ming 2, but I don't, because the Morgue is fighting them instead, because Scar randomly just broke down. Because I guess being flipped over 5 times. I guess getting lightly flipped over 5 times was was too much on the Scar team. I mean, it's quite a pathetic way to go, considering the fact your robot wasn't really. I mean, honestly, if you were if you were Razorblade, for example, I'd understand your problems, but he just got flipped over a little bit. It wasn't like the Morgue got slammed into the wall; he just got flipped over lightly. But either way. Was it, sorry?
Is that this actually? Sorry, I was just going to say what I do like though is this actually did show again a bit more of the sportsmanship side of things.
Yeah, it's true.
Because obviously the Morgue was back in and they had a little chat, didn't they? They turned around and said, it's a real shame really because they became friends with them sort of thing over the time and obviously they mentioned that they had loads of drinks with them. And
I think that's why I like Series 8 more than Series 9 because Series 8 showed a lot more behind the scenes. Yeah. And actually that's why when we see robots getting awards for the sportsmanship, you just kind of go, why are they getting them sometimes? Why are people nominated? Like, why is Corporal Punishment nominated? Why is, other robots? And you think, because he's always helping out in the background. We never saw that. We just thought we'd tell you randomly. But anyway, the actual fight itself, again, wasn't that interesting. A lot of pushing around, I mean, but...
and that cheeky little roll,
the cheeky roll was awesome, not gonna lie. But then they got caught, and more spikes got caught inside the little kind of plastic at the front of Ming 2. And after they got separated, Ming 2 was just dead. Yeah. I don't know if it must have been a movable link, probably, I'm guessing. Because it was. I mean,
Oh, I don't think the flipper was still working now.
it might have been like a radio transmission then, something, or something to do with the. I'm clearly an engineer. I know all about this stuff, obviously. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know, and all I know is when there's a weapon working, it's not the removable link. That's literally my knowledge. Like,
Yeah.
I'd be the worst technician ever. Like, are your lights still on? Yep. Oh, it's not like a mains electricity then. Do you anything else? No, not really. So that's basically that'd be my best.
Did you try turning it on and off again?
That would be my expertise, honestly. But I mean, honestly, this fight, apart from one little roll, this fight was pretty, again, kind of dull. Or it was more conclusive because one robot actually broke down this time.
Yeah.
I mean, Morg got lucky, but in fairness, they did at least have a bit of a push and try to do something else. Apart from they weren't just stood in the middle of the arena spinning around for 5 minutes. I'll give them that. Yeah, I'll give them some little credit for having a basic fight with them.
It's another thing of again where the the post battle interview with the team was again more entertaining than the actual battle it took part in, because obviously they were talking to Julia. Obviously, this was a bit of a joke about how they got the hospital bed lift.
Yeah.
For the weapon, and it's like, see, Dorian kept her talking. Hugh gave her the flowers, and I took the thing off of the bed. If you're watching, we're doing well, old lady. Thank you.
Actually, I know we were saying about kids before, but actually, the kid from Ming was always quite good, took it well as well. I mean, hell, in series 3, he was outright making fun of Arthur Chilcott, which was pretty funny.
Yeah. The kids from apart from that, they were pretty out of it. They never really got any camera time. They would say a couple of words every now and then, but that was about it.
It's just like the kid from Panic Attack. He was just there half the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still forgotten his name. That's how much he was like. Didn't even talk to him at all.
Michael Davies.
Ah, there we go. Your knowledge of the wiki comes into hand there. But,
one of the coolest gingers ever, along with Joe Watts.
Yeah, Joe Watts is Bay. Come on, let's face it.
Please, no, I wouldn't know saying that about a kid at the time would be a good thing to say, to be honest. But all right.
I'm talking. You realize he's not now.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I know.
Time.
But either way,
he's older than me, for God's sake.
Yeah, older than me, obviously. But either way, the Morg managed to win that by getting a little bit lucky. But again, can't complain too much about luck. And then, of course, the two really crap sumo runs. Actually, one of them you mentioned, Destructor Bubbler, before. That was one of them. And in fairness, lasting almost 12 seconds isn't terrible, but it was kind of a very slow affair of a sumo run. It was just kind of like a bit of light bashing.
They would have lasted longer than they'd driven off.
Yeah, it's like, what's the...
For God's sake.
I never thought that Destructor Bubbler would actually have a chance in the sumo, but they somehow did, and they lost it. And then
I think the reason why is because it's round, and it sort of rolled off the scoop.
Yeah, it was kind of hard for them to push. It was quite an awkward shape for Shun to hit. Plus, also, a lot of the time, Shun was hitting it side on as opposed to straight forwards. So it was like, it was just kind of glancing off it. And then Scorpion... I mean, hell, they lasted longer than Dietor and Firestorm, which is something, but...
Yeah, you saying that actually makes my head hurt a bit.
It is.
They outlasted Firestorm.
It really is kind of
depressing. They outlasted Razor as well, didn't they?
How long did Razor go for?
I can't honestly remember. I think it was...
I'm just looking at it right now. Razor was 4.87. They lasted they lasted just under twice as long as them. That's kind of pathetic because Scorpion is a really shit robot. Actually, I'll tell you, all these robots went lower than it. Spawn at Scudder, Bigga Brother, Thermidor 2, Razor, Firestorm 2, and Dietor. The only other one was Maverick, but who gives a shit about Maverick? So, yeah, they beat. Yeah. So technically, in the sumo, it's better than Firestorm 2 and Bigga Brother. Wow. All right. That's really strange.
Oh god, that actually makes me hurt. That makes my head hurt even more.
It's not too bad because in the Techno games, I think the Big Brother team got a gold in the sumo. I think, so it can't be that bad. Yes. It's okay.
2002.
They made up for their sins there.
Yes.
And then of course we get to the heat final. Along with the cheese one's considered the most controversial out of the two, relatively speaking. Firestorm 2 versus the Morg, and I agree with the decision again, but I can kind of see where the ambiguity is coming from, because the rules of the pit were never really fully explained still.
No, yeah, they were never actually explained fully on the show. I mean, we only really found out these rules when the team members quickly mentioned them By which point, everybody had already gone to sacrifice their next door neighbour's cat in anger.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of an annoying thing.
It was just like It was like Razor Blade from last year's, where they weren't technically in the pit; they were bouncing on it, but then they were let off the pit. But then the judges said, "Oh no, you're in the pit," and they were like, "Well, we were in the pit." And then this series, they implemented the rule: if you're stuck on the pit, I guess you're out. But then they didn't clarify this.
Didn't specify that.
Just like the Suicide Tendencies one, but they didn't tell them the rule about being stuck on one side, even though in the previous heat, in the previous series, it wasn't that wasn't an issue.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of an annoying thing, but yeah, I mean,
this battle, honestly, Firestorm was dominating until then, so
yeah. I mean, anybody said basically, if anybody still doesn't understand, basically the rules for the pit were if you're stuck, if basically you're on a point where you can't get off of it, then your class is in it.
Yeah.
Because
you can't get off it.
Then it's doing its job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and again, if all of your wheels are over the pit, then you're also classed as in it, as long as you're not being held there. And whilst it was literally like a split second beforehand, technically it was on the pit before Firestorm went into it.
Imagine what an upset there must have been though if Firestorm had actually lost this, and the walk hadn't actually gone on the pit properly.
That would have been awful.
Do you know, honestly, it would have been really hilarious and really, really sad at the same time.
The Morg would have been a semi-finalist.
Jesus, I mean, I thought Mousetrap was a bad semi-finalist.
No, it would have been seeded like 20th or something the next series. Actually, it was seeded higher than Mousetrap.
Wow, that's kind of sad.
It's very sad. That's upsetting. It's stupid.
Oh my god. But yeah, either way, I don't see this fight as controversial. I just think it's more just this heat is so underwhelming. For a Firestorm hit, considering the last heat with Firestorm, you had Facet, you had Dietor, you had Steel Avenger, had a good battle with Shumi 2 at the beginning. You know, you had some awesome, you had some weird robot, like a little Camp Sting with a little stinger thing, and then you just go from this, and it's just, boring battles, some quick battles, shit side events. It's just not, and also two fights that a lot of people still consider controversial to this day. So it's not a good record, in my opinion.
I mean, even the side events were bollocks.
Exactly, it wasn't like.
And we didn't really mention it because, of course, the battle, the heat final we've mentioned most of the controversy, but there was literally nothing to mention in that heat final apart from the controversy. I mean, Firestorm attempted to roll it a couple of times, but just didn't, and then tried to put it on the pit. And won in itself. That's your heat final, folks.
Wow. I mean, the next heat is at least a little bit of a step up. A little bit. I mean, I don't consider Heat D a great heat, but there are. I mean, you got at least it's one of the few heats where both the seeds make the heat final, and it's actually, down to which one's better as opposed to just some random crap happening. So yeah, and also there are some decent robots in the heat as well. But obviously, we'll get the little preview, of course, and the winner of it was the robot that didn't get an introduction last series, but now finally got its own introduction because it's a seed. The 7th seed, Steg 2, with the humongous flipper on the rear. Basically, they just decided to screw the Rambot angle. Let's just make our flipper bigger.
Yeah.
Essentially. I personally preferred the older one.
So did I.
But on retrospect, I thought I liked this one more, but then really I think about it, this one was harder to... It seemed to have the same steering problems as the original, which I found weird, that they still didn't have the same problems. It almost got owned in its first battle. Which I find hilarious, and also the fact they put the flipper. They should put it on the front. I think, personally, I mean, it makes no sense being at the back. You've got to angle yourself at the back to flip. But we can both agree, though, this is definitely a step down when you go to 3 Stegs to Heaven in Series 5.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at least this robot made a semi-final, and at least it functioned to a decent degree. What the fuck was 3 Stegs to Heaven doing? I don't know. And they made it.
Steg 2 was very unlucky to be put against Firestorm. So I think that was unright. Actually, I don't think they should have done that. Because while Steg 2 was only seeded 7th, again, stupid seeding, it was still a grand finalist, and it was going up against another grand finalist in the semi-final. I think that's not right.
I think it was like random drawn, I think, so they don't really help it. But...
Yeah, I know, but I know that, but what I'm saying is they would have tried to keep the top 4 finishers far apart if they were like seeded 1 to 4, wouldn't they?
Probably, yeah. I mean, obviously all 4 grand finalists made it to the semi-finals again, so it's kind of like trying to split them a bit more.
Yeah.
But, oh well. I mean, then of course we have the robot again. is the evil team of Robot Wars who don't deserve anything. The 23rd seed's Mortis, of course, because remember, we hate Mortis. They spend money.
Yeah, yeah. Mortis, how dare they? How dare they say they may win? How dare they? Throw away their chances at winning because they feel that the other team would cheat it. Wait, what?
Actually, I'll give them 2 pluses for this series though. A, they actually won a tournament, the War of Independence, which is pretty cool, and also their colour scheme is a lot better than Series 3, because Series 3 had a horrible, muddy, brownish gold thing. They've gone back to black again, which I preferred, because black was back to like Series 1 colour. Because I always think the Series 1 version is still their best version, because it's when it didn't break down at any point, or tracks broke on it, or some weapon malfunctioned and died. So, I mean, obviously the axe stopped working, but they were still able to function properly. But here, the lifter stopped working, and then it all went wrong in a heat final, but I still love Mortis, though. It's just a classic little robot, really, let's face it. It's the last
That's a good point, too, as well. They literally did not care this series, either. I mean, you can quite clearly tell they didn't care this series.
And of course...
every time someone tried to mention, like, oh, you guys are confident about it, they'd be like, and whatever, yeah.
It's also their last series, because they retire Mortis officially. Although they tried to enter in Series 7 again, but this is their official retirement series, so to speak. So
it is a shame.
It's a shame, but I can see why they retired away, because they were just kind of coming in and not really doing the same. They were basically entering the same robot most of the time, and not really doing well. So I guess they wanted to do more engineering work with like schools and stuff, and which I respect a lot more. It's a bit like the Naya Nuke team in Series 3, so I had to go around schools and teaching people and stuff. And plus, the guys are absolutely top as well. These guys are great. I mean, especially Arthur Chilcott. I mean, the guys are. I mean,
that godlike beard.
I mean, for a better word, I have to use a pun. Unfortunately, he's a very chill guy. And I would have said that even if he wasn't. No, I would have said that even if he wasn't called Chilcott. I just think, just unfortunately, his name had to be Chilcott as well. But yeah, he's a very chill guy, and he's a very cool guy. He seems very down to earth, and like I think constantly he was like one of the few. Well, he was like the only member who seemed to break out of that snobbishness look to it. Like you see Arthur. I mean, you see like Rob Knight, and while he's still down to earth and nice guy, he still came off as a bit pompous, the massive controller thing. While Alpha Chilcott was just like, who cares? It's great. I love being here. It's like the grumpy,
always having a laugh.
It's like the uncle who retired early and just having to like live in a yacht somewhere. he's fantastic top bloke. I love this guy, and of course he's still active on Facebook as well, which is quite cool. Yeah. So you can you can find him on Facebook pretty easily if you want to see what. I mean, he hasn't changed a bit, honestly. Let's face it.
Yeah, still has that Healy beard. It's great. I love it.
He's great. He's like a proper trucker beard.
Yeah.
And then of course we have a robot that I actually think I was kind of disappointed they didn't do better, but again they were in quite a tough heat with 2 good seeds. Was Crusader 2. I actually think, considering that the first appearance was just them driving around the arena and then going to the pit, this was actually a lot more of it was actually more controlled, this version. And I actually really like this robot a lot. It's just a shame they never returned again.
It was very well engineered as well. Like, it had a lot of decent ideas. Like, it had the 2 middle wheels of the 6 was slightly bigger than the other ones, so they could spin around quickly.
Yeah.
They had a dual train drive, so if one chain snapped, the other one would keep going. It was a very effective rammer and lifter. They were very unlucky in their heat placement, I feel.
They almost took out Steg 2 at the beginning. And actually, they almost flipped him over at least. And also, that weapon, you think it looks really tiny, but it actually did the work quite well. Like, it looks like a pathetic lifter, and you see it, and it actually works properly in battle. But again, it's a very unlucky robot to be stuck in the heat like this. I mean, if they were in Mousetrap's heat, for example, they would have been God in that heat.
Pretty much, yeah.
Or maybe even Stinger's heat, maybe.
Yeah. The only robot that could have really given him a hard time in that heat was Evil Weevil, and we all know what happened to them. So
yeah, exactly. So they would have been firstly fine. Actually, they might do well in Stinger's heat as well. There wasn't many offensive presences in Stinger's heat. Even Bulldog Bree wasn't that great. So yeah, there is that.
Mate, don't diss Bigger Brother's heat. It's a good heat.
I'm sorry. Do you like it?
I love it. I think it's a great heat. There was some great. I mean, come on, right? Spikosaurus, Bulldog Breed, and Stinger was one of the best battles of this series.
Yeah, but apart from that, there's literally nothing else in that heat I like personally. But that's just me. I do respect Stinger's win though. Stinger did win properly.
Yeah.
But I don't. We'll get to that one. Obviously, I don't know if you're in that one, but I'll check in a sec. But
yeah.
And then of course, probably the worst start to a robot series actually isn't that bad. Iron Ore.
Yeah.
I'll rant more about it in the actual heat, but this robot did not deserve to get past the first round. Seriously,
No,
It didn't work the entire Series 4. Even in the Celebrity Special, it didn't work. And, I mean, it's just... seriously, did it move? Like, properly in that heat?
I don't know. And what I want to know is how the bloody hell did this match against Steg 2 go to the judges? It was dead, and the house robots came out to attack it. But no, apparently it's going to the judges. I don't understand that.
Also, in its first round battle, it was already dead as well, barely dying, so Killot attacked it, and it still went to the judges because Mazakari was getting beaten up.
Although one thing I have to say here is, once again, the team are better than the robot, in all honesty.
Yeah, although they do improve over time. At least Ionor is not too bad. And then the flipper, it was a dominant flipper at one point until obviously things like Eruption came along in TR2 and fucked that up for them. But
Yeah.
at least they had some presence for a time. Plus, also they are involved in the biggest flip of the series, so.
Yeah. I'm just going to say it now. I mean, I think they are. I mean, especially the younger one, Robert. He was pretty funny because I remember in Heat D after the battle, Craig turned around and said, "We want you back, we want you bigger, we want you better." He said, "Yep," and after Killot, and that made me laugh.
Actually, considering that they're called the Grims, they didn't enter a horror-themed robot, which is kind of weird.
Oh, boring, man.
I mean, come on, the Addams Family did a horror-themed robot. You could do the same thing. You call Grim, for God's sake. Which is a really cool last name to have. Let's face it, Grim.
It is. I mean, it's one of those amazing names.
It's kind of ruined by Gilbert and Rob, but you know.
Yeah.
But okay, the last names are cool. The last names are good at least. It kind of reminds of Nate's favorite team name from Series 3, the Pickups from Crash and Asher. It's a really weird. Yeah. It's just a name you don't hear very often, but this is actually cool. Then, if you want Zeus to come back and slightly do better, but that's saying a lot, Kronos, or Kronos, I don't know how you're properly supposed to pronounce it, but I've heard both. But Kronos, actually, I do like the look of Kronos. I just think the actual crusher is very, very weak. It was like pneumatic, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, there's no pressure behind it.
It's just basically it's like a tiny axe more than anything.
Yeah, because it shoots down and to meet the rear flips. It basically it doesn't have any pressure behind it to actually squeeze and crush.
Yeah.
And most it could do is just maybe tap a few holes in the robot, but that's about it.
It's a nice looking robot. It's a much more improved over Zeus. I know Sam quite likes Zeus, but I couldn't stand Zeus personally. It's just kind of a really shit boxy robot with a lifter powered by an airbag. That's gotta be. They love air, this team, don't they? Because they got pneumatic axe crusher thing, and it looks nice.
They never came back because they're one of these teams where they seem to be someone who would make a new robot every series, and it would have been nice to see what else they could have knocked up in the kitchen. Really,
I mean, from what we saw of them, these guys seem like a really, really fun team as well. A bit like the Cerberus team. Like this, I mean, the main guy from it, I think his name was Julian Raffle. He seemed like a really, really cool guy. Like he took his loss against Scotter's Revenge and seriously pretty well because it was quite a shit way to go out.
And the fact that he literally downright admitted that, you know, because they own a dry cleaning business together, he actually stole parts from his work's bloody washers to actually make the robot work, and then at the end he's like, "Oh, by the way, you know that bit that we went to take? Yeah, that's the bit that's actually gone and been destroyed." just laughs it off like it's nothing. That's brilliant.
And considering how many Greek gods they could have used, they had a plethora of robots they could use at some point. But they chose Kronos and Zeus. I guess some of the bigger ones. I guess so. Give them credit. And then last but not least, if you want to discount Hypnodisc, look at Mazakari. Actually, Mazakari is. Literally, if you took Hypnodisc and give it this tightest budget, you get Mazakari. I mean, it is just rubbish. I mean, honestly...
The problem that they had was that they had to cut huge holes in the disc to make the weight allowance, and the problem with that is if the disc hasn't got enough weight behind it, it isn't going to have the power to back it up.
Sorry, I forgot to mention, Kronos was one of the only robots that was above 80 kilograms. It was 80.3.
Oh no, yeah, it's also one of the smallest robots.
Yeah, oddly enough. But Mazakari, all the holes in it. I mean, that disc is so... you can see it wobbling. It's so thin, and it's got the teeth on it are like decent size, but with no power behind it. And
the scary thing about it, though, is it actually deserved to win more than Ionor.
Oh, definitely. Because it actually worked. I think I felt sorry for it because all it did was get stuck on top of Mortis the entire time, so it couldn't really do anything to actually get some points on the board. And Ionor just got through because they were considered less attacked. I mean, I'll get through it. I'll go to that fight, but that's one of my least favorite moments of Series 4 is that decision. If I was watching that as a judge, I would have gone, Ionor did fuck all that entire battle. Mazakari was just getting attacked. They had no chance to get attacked, therefore they go through. Because Ionor basically broke down.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it was still working. It just kind of got handicapped by Mortis getting stuck on its lifter. But either way, it wasn't really a good robot anyway. It would never have beaten Steg 2 if it went against them in a billion years.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can tell they tried to do a hit-the-disc style robot without any of the budget or the technology or the knowledge to make the robot. I don't know. And it never appeared again, so...
Yeah.
And also one thing that makes me laugh is I was rewatching the Heat a few weeks ago, and I noticed an error, and actually it was confirmed on the wiki, actually, that their stats are actually the same as Mortis.
Yes.
Because I was looking at it, and it said axe and lift, and I was like, where are either of those weapons on Mazakari? I actually watched the whole fight, tried to see if there's like a hidden axe somewhere that I didn't miss all these years. Nope, wasn't there. I was like, oh, it's Mortis's. Right, okay. Jesus. I mean, it's simple.
How do they make a mistake like that, though? I mean,
It's such a simple... They copy and pasted, I bet.
Yeah.
they got Ionor right, though, of course, because Ionor's the best robot ever. Get that one right.
Yeah.
But...
So, what would you give Heatsy overall?
I'd probably give it a 4. Honestly.
Oh, yeah,
mind you, I don't actually outright hate this Heat, honestly. I think... I see where the controversy comes from, but honestly, in both cases, I agree with the decision. I can see why they chose it, but I can see why it's controversial. The side events are just side events, so them being crap is not the worst thing ever. Scar not getting through is kind of annoying, a bit kind of stupid, really, because of how easily they went out. But I kind of like. I mean, it's made up by the Morg teams. Firestorm 2 still is a good robot, just didn't have much chance to prove it in this Heat. And none of the battles to me, apart from the Bolt from the blue one, were outright awful. They were just kind of like some controversy / mundane. So I don't really see it as like horrible, like 2 or 3, like I give for Heat C. But to me, it just has that kind of level where I think 4's just barely below average.
Mm.
What about you?
I'd give it a 3 myself personally.
Okay.
It's not the worst episode I've ever seen, but it's pretty damn close. I mean, it's easily top 5 territory, maybe top 3 territory. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But it's up there.
I mean, actually,
it's just more disappointing and boring, really. It's just.
I mean, looking at a Firestorm Heat, considering, and you think, oh, yay, and then nothing really happens.
I mean, would it have killed them to have put, like Kilohertz's run in this one, Pinball run in this, or Exterminator's Sumo run, just to spice up a little bit?
I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking with this Heat, but it just didn't really end up being successful. But that's how it goes. But so next time I'm joined by Alex the Hunted for, I believe so. Say a check before I start saying things that aren't true. Yep.
Because we're professional, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Alex is D. Yeah, he's Heat D, so that's good. So,
D, I thought
What?
I'm sorry, I just realised you said Alex is D, but I thought you said Alex is D.
No. No. Oh, God. I've lost Anderson here. I lost Anderson.
Sorry.
But so it's the end of the episode anyway, I don't have to worry too much. But okay, so so Alex will join me next time for Mortis's Heat and Sega 2's Heats, and I'm Jimjamatic signing off.
Man, it's 9132. Yeah, that was crap.